Hello, fellow comic book worms. This is Naman. Welcome to my channel. I have a special guest here, Onrie Kompan.
That's perfect. Right? You got it.
All right,
That's great. That's great.
Onrie Kompan. Oh man, you know what? Before you introduce yourself, I did prepare a little video. So hold on.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to see it.
There you go.
Hey, look who I found. Look at who I found. Guy is doing a Yi Soon Shin Changun. Look at that. Look at it back there. Look at back there, man. Look at that. Check it out. He's doing Yi Soon Shin. Okay. You guys are not amazed because you guys are not Koreans, okay? But I'm a Korean, so I have to. And this white dude is making a jungle and stuff. Man.
I actually know a little Hangul. I also know all the Korean swear words. I'm very happy to.
You're allowed to say one. I'll let you say one.
All right, hold on. I'm just getting into my accent here. Yay, sick yeah.
Oh, yay, sick yeah.
Yay, sick yeah.
Beep.
I was thinking the whole time while you were watching it, it's like, Hinduki make Yi Soon Shin comic.
Hey, Sleepy. How are you? Damien, how are you?
How are you?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so, Arnie.
Yes, sir.
You started these Yi Soon Shin comic books. This is which one is the first issue?
Warrior Defender #1. This is where it all starts.
Okay, this is where it all starts. Okay,
yes,
I read it. I read it out of order. Confused the heck out of me.
I'm sorry.
I read from this.
Yeah, and a lot of people do. We're actually going to be on the next printing of Fallen Avenger. We're going to be adding legacy numbers. We actually did this on our 10th issue. So Yi Soon Shin, Hunter and Destroyer 2. Now, if you look really closely, it has an LGY number 10. Oh,
what?
So it's got the legacy numbering on it now, so that you guys know everything. David Moore's in the house. David Moore is one of my regular shoppers and one of my very good friends. But so we added legacy numbering.
How are you, David Moore?
So yes, so we did that just kind of like what Marvel does with their legacy numbering, and that's just something that kind of took time for me to kind of like realize, hey, we could do that and make things easier for the reader. And one of the really beautiful things, we've kept Yi Soon Shin in circulation for the last 12 years. And every time we sell out of a printing, we go back to press and we make changes to the book to make it a better reading experience. I always want to make it the best I can, especially given that everybody who is supporting the series is taking a chance. So in order to avoid confusion like what you experienced, and I'm really sorry about that, Nam, we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I'm a journalist. I mean, I press on. I didn't mean to ask you a hard question here. I don't throw softies, I guess.
So,
before we begin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So my name's Onrie Kompan. I'm the writer, creator, and producer of Yi Soon Shin. I'm also a comic book publisher. I put out my own comics. I have a new series that's going to be coming out this year called Warline, which I'm really excited about. Also has a little bit of a Korean Japanese influence. I also published a book about my grandfather called Marks, A Tale of Neglect, which is currently out of print. And I'm also a comic book reseller. So I buy and I flip comics. And I got to meet Nam at Baltimore Comic-Con last year. And he actually informed me that I did not publish the first Yi Soon Shin story, or like I didn't make the first reference of it. There was actually Yi Soon Shin was referenced in a book called Ghostly Tales 101 which features the first appearance of Yi Soon Shin's dragon ships, the turtle ships.
Yeah.
And this is really cool. On page 1, you open it up and there's a turtle ship right there. So I got this thanks to him, and I got introduced to San-Ho Kim, the guy who wrote and illustrated this story. And he was, the art in here is just phenomenal. Reminds me a lot of Bill Sienkiewicz's work on Moon Knight, you know, the Neil Adams influence stuff. So
yeah, I'm thankful that I have a great community. A guy named I don't know if you may know him, Merog, Roger. He's the one who introduced me to that book, and I mean, he's been following Kim San-ho since when I was a little kid. Even I came to the United States back in '74, and I collected comic books starting then, but I never knew about this. If I have known about this, man, I would have been just, I don't know, because Yi Soon Shin Jangun, or General Yi, is somebody that, you know, all kids, it's like sort of like a, you know, Korea's Superman, Batman, you know.
He was. I love that you said that. Yi Soon Shin was Korea's version of Batman, 100%. And the way his tactics, his use of technology, he was the Batman of Korea. He was the last.
Except he's real.
Yeah, except he was real. That's what initially drew me to the story. You know, like when I got into comics, a lot of people always ask me this. In fact, you even asked me this when we were backstage, like, why this story? And when I initially decided to do it, I wanted to stand out in comics differently from my contemporaries. So I didn't want to just do another superhero story that could get lost in that can get lost in the mix much easier. And, you know, discovering Yi Soon Shin's story and realizing, like, hey, this would make a really good comic book series. I just decided, hey, you know, I could take the things that I love about comics, particularly Marvel stuff, because I'm a huge Marvel fan, and I can kind of culminate that together to create something. David Moore will be president someday. He probably will. It's coming.
Hey, main event.
David Moore says, "Wait, Batman isn't real. Who's been jumping for my roof attack?"
Okay. Well, I mean, if you think Batman's real, that's I didn't mean.
Luke McBain's been doing that. Tree Sanchez.
I feel like I took away someone's Santa Claus.
Well, I wanted to go back for a moment. Sleepy Reader 666 was asking where we can find comics. So where you guys can pick up Yi Soon Shin books. So Yi Soon Shin books can be purchased on our website. And that's
I'll provide the link below, by the way.
Yeah, the link is right here, www.yisoonshin.com. You guys can purchase books from my site. I am going to let you know, though, that their issue 3 is currently out of print, but we are getting books in stock as of mid-February. So if you place an order today, you know, I won't have that if you decide to get the single issue, but we have plenty of hardcovers in stock. And the hardcovers are really nice because they collect all the books. And the first one has a forward by Stan Lee in it. And it goes for $25, I believe. So feel free to check it out and all that. And I'll sign it for you, too.
Let me see if I could put the banner here. And I'm going to give it, but hopefully I'll give some people a chance to win his comic books. So.
Oh, okay. So you're putting them up, huh?
Yeah. I'm going to order from you and I'll send it to them. So. You can do that, right? I can set it up from your website.
Yeah, sure. I think so.
Yeah.
We got a lot of comic book readers. This is what now I gotta say, meeting you was probably like one of the greatest moments for me in comics, because you know, the one I've always been very passionate about Korean culture. I grew up around it. You know, I used to study Taekwondo very intimately, and I actually I trained in Korea for a little bit. And you know, I really the greatest gift for me getting into my career was the fact that I can combine my love for Korean culture and comics. And when I meet a fan of comics who's Korean, and you know, you're very heavily integrated in both as well, I feel like I've found a kindred soul. So it's awesome, man.
great, man. That's so cool. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I mean, Taekwondo, what degree?
Second.
Second. Wow.
Yeah.
선생님.
No. Definitely not something new.
This is
I could say what it really is, because my master used to beat us with like 2x4s when we'd mess up, and it was really just like his way of kind of like numbing us to pain. He would take these 2x4s, if we didn't kick right, he'd like hit us, and he'd swear at us as he was hitting us. And I learned all the swear words in Korean, so it's all the bad words and everything, and you know it's. That's awesome, Sleepy Reader. Yeah, check them out. The graphic novels are solid. You know, $25, and you're getting over 50 pages of bonus material that you're not going to find in the single issues.
Wait a second. So if your graphic novel is complete?
Yeah, we have 2 graphic novels out so far. We have the first arc, which is Warrior and Defender. It's all collected. And we have the second arc, Fallen Avenger, all collected as well.
Oh, so you still have third book left to do on.
Yeah, so it's the third book, and we're, I want to say, 50% done with the third book in terms of the storytelling. Yes, thank you.
I know Annie's a really good salesman too, by the way.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Well, we've been making jokes lately on my show about like what happens when you become famous in Korea. So when you're famous in Korea, you can get away with things, and you don't have to worry about getting canceled and all that stuff. But I'm not there yet. But one of these days, I'll be famous in Korea, and I'll be cancel proof. So Nam, you use nunchucks?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at nunchucks.
That's awesome. I suck with nunchucks.
Huh?
I suck with nunchucks. I don't know how to use a nunchuck.
Maybe I need to make a little clip video and put it in here. If somebody threatens me with the
you know what? I should bring you on private security for me at conventions. If someone's trying to nip me on a deal here, we got Nam here to back me up with some nunchucks.
So, all right, man. So you got me started with the wrong book, but that's all right.
Now it sounds like he could take Batman. Batman's not real, so we could all technically take
we could all take Batman. Not easy as you know. So tell me, later on you're gonna tell me how even us comic book fan could become a comic book writer and artist, right?
Sure.
Sounds like you're just a regular kind of guy who come up with these comic books.
Yeah, there's nothing special about me at all.
I didn't mean to.
I was gifted.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say.
No, but it's true. But it's true though. You know, and there's no magic to it. It was just something that I felt passionate about. Like if you look at any person, right? Anybody who's achieved anything, they're all just normal people who wanted to do something. They set their minds to do something, and they stayed committed to it. And it really, that's really all it is. You know, when I decided that I wanted to bring Yi Soon Shin's story to the world, it was a tremendous undertaking. And even back then, I think I had this optimistic naivete about it, and thinking, well, you know, Onrie is hashtag not that bad.
Onrie's not that bad.
That's another thing too. I've been reviewing comics, and we got the not that bad. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, you know, I didn't realize how much of an undertaking it was going to be until I actually formed the book. And I was thinking as I was doing it, I was like, you know, every publisher is going to want this book. Everybody's going to jump on this. It's gonna, if I just put in the time and the effort and really get this right. And I got the book done, and no one wanted to publish it. So I was like, well, I'm not going to give up. I just spent all this money to do it, and I'm really just getting started. So what I did was I started going to comic shops and dropping off copies of the book. And then waiting to see what would happen. And I realized very quickly that if you just leave your comic on the shelf, it's not going to sell because no one's going to pitch it. No one's going to talk about it. So I had to start doing that. And that's what I did. I started visiting different comic shops. I started putting books out there, and I'd hang out at the shops and I would sell the books. And I would let the retailers keep the money. And then they were questioning me is, hey, when's issue 2 coming out? And then it was around this time that I did my first convention. It was the first ever C2E2, the Chicago Comics Entertainment Expo in McCormick Place. It's held every year. That was one of my first major conventions. And I had released the second issue to coincide with the show coming out, with the show. And I went out there and I sold out of books. And I kind of realized at that point that this is where I belonged, was like on the convention floor. And it took a couple years because, you know, when I just had the single issues out, I wasn't making much money going to these conventions. I was actually spending a lot of money, and I racked up quite a bill. It was a lot, and I was borrowing money. I had an investor at one point, and I was an angel investor, and I was able to come in and complete the first 4 issues of the series and get the graphic novel out, and it was amazing. And then I had a chance to meet Stan Lee through my sister. Actually, she donated to a charity, and the prize was you got to meet Stan Lee. You got to have 15 minutes. Cool. So my editor had worked for Stan, and I'm like, well, if I meet Stan Lee, I'm going to ask him to write the foreword to my book. And so David Anthony Kraft, my co-writer and producer on the series, he passed away last year from COVID, 2 years ago from COVID. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. He taught me everything I know about comics. He is my sensei now. He was my, he taught me everything. And he worked for Stan Lee. He worked directly for Stan, and so both him and my other friend Jim Salerkrupp, who's a very well-known editor at Marvel. He worked on Spider-Man for a long time. He brought Todd McFarlane in. He helped kind of prepare Stan for me to ask him to write the foreword. And when I finally got a chance to meet Stan Lee, he was very kind, very gracious, just everything you would imagine meeting your hero would be like. And I was really honored. I actually had Stan write the foreword to the first Yi Soon Shin book. It was a tremendous accomplishment for me very early on in my career. And David Anthony Kraft, he co-wrote all the first 10 issues of Yi Soon Shin with me. And I realized after the fact that no one was jumping on our book that I started to learn things from other publishers, like why aren't they picking this up? And the main thing was that they didn't like the fact that there were no women in the book. Like, you got no female characters. And I noticed like a consistency in everything. And then I noticed some people are just not getting back to me. So I'm like, I just need to hire an editor. So I reached out to Jim because he was one of my favorite Spider-Man editors growing up. Like all the great Spider-Man stuff that I read, all the Todd McFarlane stuff, it was all fantastic. And Jim was just a really nice guy. So I told him, hey, Jim, I'm looking for an editor. Could you help me out? And he goes, yeah, I'll put you in touch with David Anthony Kraft. And Dak and I just hit it off right away. And I want to say he was my comic book father, like truly my master in comics. Like he taught me everything about comics production. We worked very closely together. And it's been really hard moving forward with the series since he passed away. He just had so much input, and we together created the main female character in Yi Soon Shin, and really brought the series to a new level. And what was really great too is he brought his his experience working at Marvel with him, and so we were able to really go about it using the classic Marvel method of in our production process.
The female character?
Yes, yeah, his name is right underneath mine. And here's what we did, because this is his last issue, Hunter and Destroyer 2. This is the last book he worked on. I put his name at the top here because because he passed away. I was just honoring him, and he really wanted to see this series through to the end. It was really, so he just got such a kick out of working on it, and we would slave over the pages. This latest issue here, this literally was in production for 2.5 years.
Wow.
24 pages in production for 2.5 years, and we were just very meticulous on everything, and just constantly going back and forth.
I just wanted them to see the female.
Yeah, that's Jin. Yeah, so yeah, Dak had, that was the first thing he did, was he read through the script, or he read the issue as it was, and he's like, you need a female character, and it's going to be this girl. She's already in the book. She's your female character. Now let's develop her. Let's run with it. And the things that we've done with her have been fantastic. And she didn't exist in reality. Like this is kind of like where we took some liberties, but this was something that was worth doing, and a lot of our readers like really relate to her too.
So let's start with the how do you start with the saying, hey, I want to tell a story about Yi Soon Shin. How that started?
So I actually discovered Yi Soon Shin through this really awesome K-drama that's on Amazon. It's really old and dated now. It's called The Immortal Yi Soon Shin. It's still fantastic though, but it's a really great 104 episode series. So it's a little bit drawn out.
Korean make a pretty good historical dramas. They've been making it for a long time. So
yeah, no, they have, and this one in particular is really fantastic. The actor who played Yi Soon Shin is just absolutely phenomenal. Like he just did such a great job. Like really, and to me, like when I look at a show or any story, what I really look for is change in character. I want to see the character, and I want to see him transform throughout the story. Like, for example, Breaking Bad. You see Walter White start out one way and he ends a different way, and he's unrecognizable by the end of his journey. And I think what Kim Young-min was able to do as Yi Soon Shin was he did exactly that. He transformed himself. Guy was like 25 years old, but he convinced you he was 54 all day long. You know. He was very commanding, and just had such a presence on screen, and I was really inspired by his performance, and then I became even more fascinated by the man himself, and so that led me to just start reading books on Yi Soon Shin. I managed to get Nanjang Ilgi, which is the Diary of Yi Soon Shin. It was translated by Yonsei University. It wasn't the best translation, but it kind of gave me a general idea. And reading this stuff was really important because one of the things that Dak was a real big proponent of is that our book could not be the same thing as the TV show. It had to set itself apart completely. That's why we added boobs and had much more feeling and all.
That's one thing I noticed about that. Yeah, I'm not going to show you
boobs, blowjobs, everything. That's why we did it, so that they can't say we copied them.
I can show you a little bit of it, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Got some of that boo day.
But
boob sell. You can do that when you're famous in Korea. Well, actually, there's been a lot of controversy around that. Like, we've actually. I've met a lot of very conservative Koreans who are like very offended by what we did with Jin and the fact that this, and I can tell that they didn't read the book because they're like, Yi Soon Shin is not sexual. Well, if you read the entire series, there are absolutely no sex scenes with Yi Soon Shin, even though in reality he actually had 3 concubines. And children with all of them.
Right. Yeah.
He had some baby daddy drama for sure.
So. Why don't you tell that? Because I would like to hear this from coming from you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Yi Soon Shin?
Sure. So Yi Soon Shin was a Korean admiral that battled the Japanese in the 1500s when they invaded Korea. So it was the Japanese samurai, and they invaded Korea because they actually thought that they'd be able to take over the country very easily, and then stage an even greater invasion of China. Take over China, swoop into Russia, go into Europe and basically take over the world. And they had every reason to think that they could do it because they had superior weaponry. Their soldiers were very strong. They had been at war with each other for 100 years. It's the samurai. They were like the most terrifying warriors in Asia at the time.
Well, I mean, one most strong advantage they had is
the rifle
arrow versus rifles.
Yeah, they had rifles, exactly. So they got that from Portugal. So
right.
The Portuguese were coming to Japan to trade with them, and they were also coming to Japan to basically influence Christianity throughout the country. So this was kind of there's some good movies about it. What's up, Kyle? There's actually a movie with Adam Driver. And I forgot the name of it, but I'm going to look it up real quick. It was a fantastic film, and it took place in Japan around this time, like before the time of Yi Soon Shin. And I want to see what it's called. I remember seeing the whole thing. It was a very long film. Silence. And it was about, Christianity, the way they were trying to spread Christianity in Japan. Japanese did not like that. So they wanted to take over everything. It's just like Putin versus Ukraine. Yes, Yi Soon Shin was completely outnumbered when the samurai just showed up in Korea one day in April. And what happened is the samurai just basically blitzkrieged Korea, and they were able to take out the army. There was a commander named Shin Rip who fought the Japanese in Gyeongju, I believe. And no, not Gyeongju. I think it was. I need to go back and reference myself. Cheongju. I've actually been there too. So they took no Shinto from the Christians. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, at the Battle of Cheongju, the Korean army was destroyed. That was the end of the Korean army, and now there was nothing left. There was no one left to protect Korean people, and Japan had established the supply road. And when the war started, Yi Soon Shin didn't. When the invasion began, Yi Soon Shin didn't act for 3 weeks. And the reason why was because he wanted the Japanese to settle. He wanted them to set up their base of operations. He wanted to study what they were doing. And then he finally received orders that he created a strategy. He sent his proposal to the king, and the king gave him permission to conduct his first counterstrike, which was at the Battle of Akpo on June 14th, 1592.
Which book is that one?
That's Warrior and Defender 1. That's the very first book. This is the first battle that Yi Soon Shin ever fought. And here's the amazing thing about it. It's his first naval battle ever. He had never fought a naval battle, a naval skirmish in his entire career. In fact, his entire career was ridiculous because he kept getting promoted and demoted, thrown around, kicked out of the military, asked to be brought back in. All kinds of stuff happened.
Yeah, one thing that I do want to mention that is different from Ukraine and Putin comparison is that Yi Soon Shin had the support of the people, but he didn't have the support of the king, not necessarily. Yeah. And matter of fact, king was always jealous of Yi Soon Shin's success because he was afraid that Yi Soon Shin would take over, and
it's basically like Ukraine, but if Kim Jong-un was the president of Ukraine.
I know. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Kim Jong-un was the president of Ukraine, and the Ukraine president is only general, basically. Yeah.
I mean, but here's the thing: the king at the time, King Sanjo, he was not. Korea has always been known as the hermit kingdom. They weren't really interested in what was, especially at that time, they weren't really interested in what was going on outside of their country. They had very deep relations with China. And in fact, many Koreans considered China to be like the father country.
Big brother.
Yeah, big brother. And if you were educated, then you learned how to read in Chinese, and you would go and take vacations in China. That was like the place to go and chill is China. We going to China, you know.
But the thing is, Japanese always had, they were isolated in the island.
Yes.
And they saw Korean Peninsula as a road to China. Because basically, Japan always wanted to trade with China, but China considered them barbaric. So they never actually traded with China. That's why I think the Japanese in that opening their door to Portuguese. But yeah, Korea had nothing to do. I mean, Korea just want to be left alone, you know, be their little hermit kingdom. But Japanese always saw Korea as a bridge to China, so they never left us alone. I mean, for as history is concerned, that's what our history tells us anyway.
Yeah, and in fact, Korea didn't even care about Japan. They were like, these guys are like, whatever. We kicked their asses back in the 1300s. We kicked their asses back to their little stupid island, and they just ignored them. And that's where Yi Soon Shin had the advantage, because he actually learned from the Japanese, much like how the Spanish Civil War was Hitler's sort of like opening theater for World War II. Like that was like sort of like his test run for it. The Japanese samurai conducted test runs on Korea, and Yi Soon Shin was investigating these small attacks that they were performing, and that's how he discovered that they were a greater threat. And he tried to bring it up to the king, and the king ignored him. In fact, prior to the war starting, there was actually talk of dismantling the Navy completely and just focusing on having one massive land force to protect the country. And if that had happened, Korea wouldn't have stood a chance against Japan. But
they had too much firepower.
They had way too much firepower, but Korea did have one major advantage, and I think this is always going to be a fact about history and why most invasions don't last. And the reason is because the people know their land. And you're seeing this happen right now between Russia and Ukraine. Like, Russia can't take Ukraine. Even though they have superior weapons and everything, they just can't take the country because the people they don't care about dying at this point, and they know their land better than the invaders do. They know everything better. And there were a lot of heroes during the Imjin War, especially land fighters who were able to who helped Yi Soon Shin. Like, if they didn't win their battles, Yi Soon Shin wouldn't have been able to win his. And that's, when you look at it historically, invasions typically either are completely successful at first, but then over time, the invaders are eventually kicked out, and the country resumes its natural heritage, or it doesn't succeed. Even look at World War II. How much territory Hitler conquered, but couldn't hold on to for longer than 6 years. I just think that there's a natural resilience to indigenous cultures. They will fight harder to protect their land.
So let's get into some stratagem you put into these comic books. Like
strategy was simple: just beat the artist with the stick, make him draw. And every time he asks about money, you just pretend like what? I didn't hear you. Just avoid answering the emails, and then everything works out.
I mean, he's in his stratagem.
Yeah. So his strategy at Akpo was, this is my favorite battle here. I absolutely loved it because
this is before the Kobuksan, right?
This is before the Kobuksan. He didn't pull that out until the second battle that he fought with the Japanese. And the reason is because he first wanted to establish himself against the Japanese. Thank you so much, Sleepy Reader. Bless your heart. Thank you so much. Kamsahamnida. Thank you. So what ended up happening was the Japanese had taken over this harbor, Akpo Harbor, and they were just like burning it to the ground and everything, just raping, pillaging. And all of a sudden they see 15 Korean battleships. And they're like, what the hell are those ships doing out there? Let's go, take them out, go sink them. So they send their entire fleet to go and sink these 15 ships. And Yi Soon Shin was at the front with they were all side by side. So everybody was fine. It was a line formation. And they created this nice big long line of ships. They had them in like rows too. So what happened was the Japanese are coming in. They got 8,000 men on these ships. There's like, I think 30 or 40 ships just heading straight towards Yi Soon Shin. Actually, I think I had the number right here. I think it was 50 ships. Let me confirm that.
I think it was 13 to 16.
It was 50 ships in the first battle versus 15.
Yeah.
So what happened was Yi Soon Shin just said, come on out here. Come on, get closer. And as soon as they got really close, he turned his ships broadside, and now they saw that they had cannons. Now the Japanese had rifles, and that gave them an advantage on land. But up against cannons, that's like basically there's no comparison. Cannons had much more power behind them. And the type of wood that was used to build the Panoksung ships, that was Yi Soon Shin ships. What's up, Kenneth? They were much more powerful. They could withstand cannon fire. And so it was like shooting fish in a barrel. The Japanese had victory after victory when they first invaded, but Yi Soon Shin caused their first massive defeat in the war. And this single battle turned the tide for Korea. After that, Japan was like, who the hell is this Yi Soon Shin guy? And the most miraculous thing about this battle is that this was one of the few battles where not a single man was lost on the Korean side.
What about the one who tried to escape?
What do you mean?
Didn't Wano? Is that a different battle?
No. So no one on the Korean side tried to escape. This was the guy that we see there. That's a Japanese general. That's Toru Tsutora. Yeah, he was a main adversary of Yi Soon Shin's throughout. But in the first battle, Akpo, no man was killed. That's a really miraculous achievement for Yi Soon Shin, and just in general. I mean, imagine you go into your first battle, you don't lose a single guy. That's like almost unheard of. And
hey, Brian,
what's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you, Rolando. You are a land cannoneer, an artilleryman, if you please. That's awesome. Thank you for your service. That's awesome. We I told you we get a good crowd going here. I mean, lots of new people here. This is awesome.
Kyle is a good friend of mine. He does tell some dirty jokes, so you might get along.
I love dirty jokes. I'm all about the dirty jokes. I'm all about that bass. So yeah, it's every strategy that Yi Soon Shin implemented against the Japanese was like this. It wasn't miraculous. It was these really well thought out strategies where he didn't just use his ships; he used the terrain and the sea primarily to outsmart the Japanese.
Yeah, the way he used those strays and water currents and the weather and. I mean even the Japanese people admire his tactics.
Oh, absolutely. There was a general, Togo Hichoro. Hiachoro, I think his name is. He really, man, he fought the Russians, so he kicked my ancestors' asses, during the Japanese Russo War. So I'm Russian.
Oh, you're Russian.
Yeah, I'm sorry for everything everybody that Russia's doing right now. I don't take I'm not a part of that. But Russia was at war with Japan at one point, and Togo Hichiro had a very similar record to Yi Soon Shin in terms of his ability to overcome the Russians in battle. And when asked, like, when asked like how he was able to, or who he would compare himself to, he said, everybody started comparing him to Admiral Nelson, and he goes, "You can compare me to Horatio Nelson, who was also a very celebrated and accomplished naval leader for the British." And he said, "You can compare me to Nelson, but you cannot compare me to Yi Soon Shin." And he had a tremendous amount of respect for him. Oh, we got a Marine in the house. Oh, jeez, my best friend's a Marine. So now this is over. you jarheads. This is
It's done for. It's done. It's done.
It's over.
So go ahead and tell me a little bit about what do you think this story did for Yi Soon Shin?
Yeah. So ghostly tales. Now this is what's cool. This isn't actually. It's related to Yi Soon Shin.
Yeah.
It mentions him a bit, but it's actually a folk tale that took place around the time of the 7th issue of our series, which is Fallen Avenger #3. And what had happened at this point was Fallen Avenger 3. So it took place at this.
When Yi Soon Shin got when
he was taken. What happened was as Nam mentioned earlier, Yi Soon Shin's king was always jealous of him, and at one point he had him arrested and beaten within an inch of his life. And they put Yi Soon Shin's incompetent rival in charge. His name was Won Kyun. And in one battle, he gets the entire Korean Navy like destroyed in just one massive battle. So everything Yi Soon Shin had spent the last 5 years building up, this guy just like totally effed it up in one battle. And he was kind of like a real F up. He's a real not Section 8, but he messed up real bad. But he ultimately sacrificed himself so that he could save Korean survivors. He sacrificed himself in the end. And what ended up happening was Yi Soon Shin was given back control. What's up, Brian? He was given control of. Yi Soon Shin was reinstated as commander of the Korean Navy, and he had only 12 ships, and he ended up having to go up against the entire Japanese Navy with only 12 ships, and he still won that battle, which is that is one of the. That battle was miraculous.
Which one is that? Or is it?
That's Myeongnyang. That's and they made a movie about this called Roaring Currents, which came out. They actually used artwork from our book to help promote the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That you didn't tell me before. Okay?
Yeah, they specifically focused on the pages with nudity in them.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they wanted boobs, and boobs.
Oh, Kyle would like that.
Yes, exactly. So what was cool about the Battle of Myeongnyang is it took place in this strait, and they call it the Scream. It's got a bunch of different names, but we call it the Screaming Straits, Roaring Currents. And what happens is at a certain time of day, there is this big whirlpool that's like created, and it still happens till this day. This big, huge whirlpool, and it'll suck everything inside into it. It's like God flushes the toilet every day, and you just see it like going. And so Yi Soon Shin lured the entire Japanese fleet into this area, into the center of the toilet bowl, and he had to hold them off for 2 hours. And it was a really brutal battle because he had only 12 ships. And he had to hold off about 50 of them while fighting with his fleet. And this was one of those battles where things got really up close and personal. And Yi Soon Shin himself was actually, fighting on the front lines with the soldiers. You really hear about that when it comes to like older commanders and stuff. They're usually like behind. They're not really taking up swords and fighting because they have to oversee everything. That was the case with Yi Soon Shin. He inspired his men to fight by being the first guy to charge. Because Koreans were, especially when the war first began, they were really afraid of Japanese. They didn't want to fight with them. Because Korea was a hermit kingdom, the soldiers weren't really well trained. They weren't really ready for combat. And Yi Soon Shin knew that if he wanted them to fight, he had to be the first person to go out and fight. And he had a saying that those who seek death shall live, and those who seek life shall die. And that was his motto. You got to rush into battle and just be ready to die. And if you do that, if you come in with that mentality, you're going to fight harder, and your chances of living are much higher than if you're just like running away scared. Then you're going to die.
Yeah, that wasn't his saying. I think he was a philosophy by some out of word book, some Chinese general that said that word, but he followed his writing on far as how to train his soldiers and how to strategize his armies and all that. How do you beat 100 armies with 100 armies with 10 or
Yeah, Sun Tzu, right? Yeah. And Kyle, that's right. The Marines, they are, they have the reputation of being the first to enter, last to leave. And I've had the pleasure of working with Marines and befriending Marines, and you guys are just a bunch of crazy psychopaths. I love the Marine Corps.
Well, okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. I love Marine Corps.
Yeah, Kyle is a psychopath. Yeah, that's true.
No, but that mentality, it's like every Marine is a rifleman before they're anything else. It's kind of like that moment in 300, and they're like, "Hey, you, what's your job?" And he's like, "I'm a baker." And what's your job? "I'm a carpenter." And what's your job? "I'm a male prostitute." And then he goes, "Spartans, what is your profession?" And they're all like, punching their spears into the ground and all confessing that they're male prostitutes too.
So that a sleepy reader doesn't get confused. You took some liberty from. I mean, it wasn't totally out of historical fact. You took some creative liberty with the book, right? So
but there's nothing like fantastic about it. Like there's no magic. There's no like monsters. It's all grounded in reality. Okay. It's all grounded in what.
But like a female relationship, that's probably a lot of it is.
Well, there were no boobs back in 1590.
There were boobs then. Okay. There were boobs back then.
There's no boobs back in 1592. I don't know what you're talking about. I plead the fifth.
But in the historical text, there probably wasn't any story about some of the female relationship, female spies.
Well, it was just not talked about. I mean, being around Asian culture, sex is something that is very controversial. In Asian culture, you don't talk about it openly. It's something that occurs in closed doors, and especially Korean culture is honorific. So you don't really question what older people choose to do when they do it. So it doesn't get talked about. It makes people feel uncomfortable, especially in Korea. In fact, when you go to Korea, you can't even look at porn in Korea. They have like special blocks. You have to like download this special software to go through it. And I needed to do that when I was in Korea in order to complete my research on the book and put more boobs.
I'm going to show something for Kyle. So hold on just a second. Here you go.
Boobs! And we got booty. This girl's milkshake will bring all the boys to the yard. Yeah, but it's not a pornographic. We don't bring sex into the story for the sake of like being pornographic. It's not like to over sexualize what's going on. It's really to serve the story. And there were women who were manipulating men back then and using sex to do it. but I think that this is one of those areas where we did take liberty, because what was considered sexy back in Korea in 1592, like what was sexy back then was when a woman would show like
little bit of skin,
her bare ankles.
Yeah.
Bare ankles.
Just a little bit of skin.
Yeah, just a little bit of skin. You could see her shoulder, maybe. You couldn't even see her shoulder. Like everything was covered up. She's written a handbook. She didn't, you can't tell she's got a booty. You can't tell she's got boobs. None of that. It was a very different. It's a very different.
I do remember even when I was watching American TV, when they import American TV over, and when they have a kiss scenes, there was put a silhouette over it, so you only see the shadow of a two-person kissing. So that even just kissing, they didn't show too much.
Yeah, kissing too. No kissing. Yeah. No kissing. No lovey-dovey. None of that.
So,
but for the American audience, not just the American audience, the worldwide audience, right? Like everybody in Korea knows what Yi Soon Shin is, so they know about the character. And I think what's great for Koreans is like, hey, we got this is not your daddy's Yi Soon Shin, this is the R-rated Yi Soon Shin. But for people in other parts of the world, it's like they can understand the character, they can understand how she would manipulate men, and that was what Korean women were able to do back then. There was actually a really great story of a I keep forgetting what they're called. They're not prostitutes, but they
Giseng?
kind of are. What are they called again?
Giseng.
Gisengs, yes,
Yeah,
there we go. So there was this one Giseng who actually killed a Japanese general. She she lured him over to this like rock, and she seduced him and got him really drunk. And then what she did was she hugged him and wrapped him real tight and threw herself and him into the water, and they both died. She sacrificed herself, and that was that was really heroic. That she did that. We kind of nodded to her, I want to say, in an indirect way.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
In the 10th issue of Yi Soon Shin.
Oh,
but the real story is really fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You know what?
So what Kyle's saying, sex would get your head cut off when you let your guard down. He's not wrong. I mean, that they really were able to do
that. Let's do this before we close up. I'm gonna do a little giveaway just for our crew here. I'm gonna order one of your book and send it to one of these guys. How's that?
That sounds great. Actually, here's what I'm gonna do. Right. I'm gonna hook up someone with a set of these books here, because you guys are all really awesome, and I'm actually gonna send it to Kyle, the Marine.
Oh, okay.
Kyle's getting a whole set. He's going to take this whole set of Yi Soon Shin books here. I'm getting rid of them right now. I should be selling these off, but I'm doing it. But I'm also going to hook up issue 10 as well. This is just a giveaway, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out here, and I hope you'll enjoy these. I'm going to sign every single one of them for you. In fact, we're on the air right now. I'll sign your books for you too, and I hope you enjoy Yi Soon Shin. I hope you like it. And thank you for watching.
I already got #win.
#win, yes. Hashtag not so bad.
Yeah. Hey Brian, basketball. All right. Only rules. All right, appreciate that, bud. All right. I'm gonna
get all these books signed for you. You got the video authenticity, and and what's really cool too. So Nam, you're based out in Baltimore, right?
Yeah. Kyle, since you won the book, please stay off this one, please. Okay. Go ahead and
for
I don't
wrestling
care
guys.
if you sell them off. That's fine. The one thing I love.
No. Kyle's gonna keep it.
No. I understand. That's totally fine. But one thing I just want to point out to everybody: comics are designed to circulate.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah.
as a publisher, there's nothing I love more than finding my books in the dollar bin.
So hashtag Onrie rules. So there you go.
I love it. I'm going to start using it too.
Onrie
Everybody wants to rule the world. I have very bad singing skills. I apologize.
So can you guys read that? Onrie rules. ONRIERULES. Let me see if that.
So Kyle, you got Hunter Destroyer #2 heading your way. You're going to be one of the first people to actually have the first 10 issues of the series, and I hope you enjoy it. And thank you so much for your service to our country as a Marine. That's why I picked you, is because you're a Marine, and I love the Marine Corps. 1, 2, 3, 4. I love the Marine Corps. Hoorah!
It's crazy.
Brian, what's up, man? Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sorry. I'm not usually full of information that's useful, but tonight, Nam actually, brought up a topic that I know a little bit about. I also know a lot about porn, too.
Brian, Civil Knight Kyle already got it.
Do booty remarks for you? Boobs?
Hashtag.
My boobs often look like like circles with little dots in the center. I don't know if
There you go. There you go, guys. There's only 5 of you, so just one of you. Just one of you type it in and you win. Sleepy Reader, he already got a copy, so just in case.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the business. Thank you very, very much. It means a lot to me. And one thing that I just want to point out is Yi Soon Shin has been in production now for 12 years, and we have sold over 130,000 copies of the book throughout the world. So thank you so much for supporting it. And now thank you so much for having me on your show. I had so much fun. Hashtag Onrie rules. I love it. I'm going to take a picture of this. That's awesome.
Come on, guys. Only a brand intern.
Do me a favor.
Send it to me, and I'll send it to him. And then I introduce you.
We can do that too. I mean, I don't mind. I can send it directly to him, and he'll probably get his books faster. It's
okay, sure.
Yeah. Kyle, do me a favor. Can you write? Can I put my email down in the comments somewhere?
Yeah, give it to me.
Here, I'll put it in the private chat.
Okay.
And Brian, just do me a favor. I just sent it over to Nam right now. My email. Just email me your address, and I'll ship your books out to you next week.
Can I share the email address to everybody? I'm sure that's right.
What's that?
I could share the email address with.
Yes, you can share my email address.
Yeah.
Just don't send me photos of your penis. That's it. That's
okay. All. You heard that?
Yeah.
You heard that, Kyle?
No penis.
You heard that, Kyle? No penis.
No penis pics. Thank you. Appreciate it. If you want to send me boob pics, that's fine. That's great. We use it for research. It all goes to Onrie's trust fund. So that's
there you go. There's his email address right there.
If anybody just wants to email me at all, I mean, I'm a comic book reseller too. So I have a huge collection of books. You guys can come shop with me. I do live stream sales on YouTube 3 times a week. I'm on the Comic Book Shopping Network on Mondays. I'm on this channel called The Experience on Wednesday nights. And I do shows on my own channel on Fridays. So selling a lot of comics right now. I think in the last month we've sold close to 4,000 books. No penis, but foot is fine. Hey, I got a foot fetish. Foot fetish is nothing wrong with that. Psychedelic Comics, what's up?
All right, we got four. How many of us are in here? 6 of us.
Wow.
One more, guys. Oh, there's Tricky Chapter. All right.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. Wow. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. Thanks. You guys can all subscribe.
I put his link below on YouTube and his website. So
yeah, come and follow me. It's yeah, and I make Yi Soon Shin trailers too, so you guys can come and check them out.
Oh yeah, what's that about the coin stuff? What's this coin stuff?
Oh yeah. So we actually got we were contacted by a company in 2016 called Coins Today, and they manufactured a Yi Soon Shin coin, which was made out of 2 ounces of silver.
Oh, I see.
And there's only 500 of them in existence. Dude, Brian, you're awesome. Thank you so much. So there's only 500 of these coins in existence. So it's funny that you mentioned that. What was really cool about the coin was they commissioned us to create some artwork for them for the case for the coin, which is actually more expensive and difficult to get as a complete set. So I have a direct contact to the manufacturer, and they told me they only have 100 left. So I just ordered 3 more coins so that I could fulfill some orders for my customers. But
hashtag Onrie rules.
What's that?
I'm sorry. Somebody hashtag Onrie rules, and the email is right there, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle. Just
email
just
right
email
there
me.
on the screen. It's scrolling on the sideways. You see it? You see it, Kyle? Right there below. You see it, right? Did I? Yeah.
He probably does.
mpan@gmail.com.
Yeah, and regardless, if you sub me, then we're good too.
Yeah. All right, there's only 5 of you wanting this book, so I'll go ahead and I'm going to draw right now. You guys ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I love all these guys, so.
Oh, that's awesome! And you're doing this through StreamYard?
Yeah.
Brian Basketball.
Hey, Brian Basketball.
That's awesome.
I'm going to send you Omnie's book on Yi Soon Shin. He has a hardbound book, so I'm going to order one for you, Brian. So awesome.
I'll get those shipped out next week for you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's
well. Now, thank you so much for having me. This was what a wonderful experience. Thank you. This really reinvigorated me and has gotten me so excited about getting back out onto the convention scene and to continue to sell books.
do you make only the East Coast area conventions? You make it?
No, everywhere, all over the country.
I'm going to Seattle. You going to be there?
I'll be in Seattle for Emerald City.
Oh, you are?
I am.
Okay. I guess I'll be seeing you on Sunday.
Yeah, you'll come and see me. Make sure you come and see me over there. We'll get some food out there. We'll go to Bruce Lee's favorite Chinese restaurant.
Oh, okay, cool.
Tai Tung is what it's called.
Okay, because we're gonna go over there and go. Our target is John Boy Meyer. You know him?
Yeah, I know John Boy Meyer. Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go see him. He interviewed with our channel before.
No way.
Yeah. That's
amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, got amazing guys like you come on my show.
Yeah, I'm honored. I am nothing compared to John Boy Meyer.
But this is awesome, man. This is just awesome.
No, you're awesome. Your passion for comics is awesome. I appreciate it so much, and I look forward to seeing you in Emerald City.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for showing up, guys, in the chat room. Kyle, Tricky Mess, Brian, Sleepy Reader, Brian Basketball, Brian LCS, Psychedelic Comics. Am I missing anyone that been here?
Well, David Moore was here.
David Moore was here.
Yeah, he left to go take over the world. But
David Moore was here, and Main Event was here. Captain Taro was here, Ray Root was here, and Tito was here. I appreciate everybody that showed up for this this talk. And appreciate the rewatch if you haven't watched it all. Appreciate it all. I love this man for bring up one of my hero, Korean hero, Yi Soon Shin. Anyway, till next time.
You guys, love you too.
All right,
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. You guys all rock. Bless your hearts. Have a wonderful weekend.